What's up? It's me back again, Analog Attack. How you all doing? Welcome to another episode. And today we have JC, not Jesus Christ, but Mr. Jesse Conway, all the way from
Hello.
USA. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How you been?
I've been pretty good. Can't complain. All the better for seeing
That's
you.
good. Oh, you're too kind, Mike. Too
Yes,
kind.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Thanks a
So,
lot for having me on.
yeah. We've been talking about it for a while, and we finally kind of figured out what we're going to talk about. So, what we're going to talk about, like record
We're gonna
shopping in Japan, basically, right?
Right, yeah, and especially like the unexpected stuff that you can find in here.
Unexpected stuff. Yeah, well, of course, nobody can. I mean, record shopping in Japan is, well, we'll find out. So,
Right, right.
you were living in
Yeah,
Nagasaki,
that's right. So like, altogether, I think now I've lived in Japan on and off for like 10 years,
right?
and most recently Nagasaki for 3 years.
And
And Nagasaki is the countryside.
it is.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but there is a record store in Nagasaki City.
What's the name of that record store?
That is Sunny Boy.
Honey Boy.
Sunny Boy.
It's the only
Yes.
record store in Nagasaki.
So, to my knowledge, it's the only currently going store that's like only for records. Of
Wow.
course, there's like a Tsutaya bookstore that has new
Okay.
records. Um, Out in the suburbs, there's a lot of used stores,
Okay.
like Hard Off and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's the only dedicated record
Okay.
store.
So I'm guessing Sunny Boy was named after Sunny Boy
Yeah,
Williams,
I
right?
mean, he doesn't work there, but um, somebody might know about the guy.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure. I mean, I can't think of anyone else that could be.
neither can I. Yeah, yeah. But it's cool. Like Nagasaki has a pretty decent history. Elvin Jones used to live there. He had his own
Japanese wife,
live
yeah.
house, I believe. Yeah,
Cool.
and there's a lot of good jazz bars that'll have a
Wow.
great selection of records, and usually pictures of Elvin and stuff like that up on the wall. So,
Wow, I didn't
you
know
know,
that. Wow, that's cool.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know you lived in
So
Nagasaki. Wow. Mm.
yeah, if you ever get the chance, go and visit.
Wow, that's cool. So, any sort of favorite finds from Sunny Boy over the years?
Yeah, so like Sunny Boy, I guess it's the ultimate local store.
Mm.
So there's stuff there from when they started that has the original price tags, and they actually have the date on all the prices, so you can see when they originally priced it and stuff like
Right.
that, which is funny.
Wow.
Um, yeah, selection's okay. So thinking of that kind of like original stuff, you
All
go
right.
all the way in the back, right hand side, covered in dust. There's like a bunch of shoe boxes up on the
Mm.
shelf. So one day, have nothing else to do, take them down. Oh, it's a bunch of Japanese indies. So if you're a record shopper and you know the indies section,
Yeah, that's a little tip
yeah.
there we're giving away. So you don't always look at the punk section, indies, and even sometimes J-pop can have like
Mhm.
hardcore punk and heavy metal
Yeah.
in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started looking in there, and there's stuff like older Cobra 7 inches, or like Genbaku Onanis, that kind of,
Nice.
maybe more major label punk
Right.
kind of stuff.
Mm.
But there's also some indies, so stuff like The Prisoner. Not the best,
BP
but
Prisoner, Breaking Power. That's an eight.
yeah,
That's an 8-inch
this is an 8 inch classic.
flexi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
And secret thing here, drums by Jeshi.
Oh,
So
n-
yeah, he
wow.
just called to me. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
The B side's got a really good kind of ghoulish
Yeah.
Jackpot. A side not so good. So,
Don't
but it was nice.
doesn't that band have a split with another band too? Did I
It's
just
very
dream that?
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But the nice price for sure, 400 yen.
Good
So not
price.
bad.
Yeah.
The original price. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Other stuff I found, I didn't know anything about this. Unity split with Masakazu Nakagawa.
Wow.
It's just experimental noise slash ambient type stuff, one on each side. Um, it's just cool. So it's always worth taking a shot, looking for new stuff,
Yeah,
right?
that's I've never seen. Is that from the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, like let's see. The glue's coming off, so let's just rip the whole thing open.
Mm-mm.
Um, 84. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know if we can see, but So it's cool stuff, and again,
Very nice.
very sweet, cheap price.
Wow.
Get away from the Japanese stuff and
Right.
looking at non-Japanese. One thing that surprised me, maybe you have a copy. I don't think I gave you one of these, but First Youth Brigade 7-inch.
Right. I remember you talking about that, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
7 of these in a box all together with 20 years of dust on them.
I think I know why they were there, possibly.
Why is
Because,
that?
like Youth Brigade, they put out a record on AA Records, right? They had, that
Mm-hmm.
was like Cobra or Laughing Nose or Cobra's label, like big Japanese
Oh,
punk label.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's was probably some trade, or they probably sent. They had like Youth Brigade had quite a good connection with Japan, like back in the day. So they put out
Huh.
that
Well,
single on
there.
AA Records. I forget who
Yeah.
ran that, but there's like a Japanese pressing of that Youth Brigade single. So I think a lot of those singles made it over here. I guess. Yeah.
That makes some sense.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like the last kind of stuff from Sunny Boy that I found that was cool, which kind of made me think of something that I love in Japan and Japanese stores. Nobody collects just, or nobody buys just one record from a band. They have to have everything, right?
Right. I'm a bit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
when you see somebody selling stuff in, you're probably going to see an entire discography show up.
That's really true, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love that, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, somebody sold all their Iron Maiden 12-inch singles.
Man,
It's like,
that's
oh,
so
look at
true. I
those.
remember that's
Yeah.
you reminded me of something. I one time when I was in Rockstack in Umeda in Osaka, just flipping through
Mhm.
that, and then like someone had sold like every like Tony Martin era like Black Sabbath LP, all of them, just in one. So I
Yeah.
just got them all at the same time.
Yeah.
That's like a
Yeah.
good example of what you were talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
It's
someone.
excellent. So
Yeah,
what I found at Sunny Boy, like I never really ran into any punks on the street or
right,
whatever in Nagasaki. I saw a guy wearing a corrupted shirt once, but he was just visiting from Tokyo. So,
right.
but I found uh, not only one
Well,
Los Crudos, but Dos Crudos. Oh.
ah,
So somebody basically sold the entire Crudos discography. This
right.
is the only stuff I needed, but it was very nice to pick it up. Super cheap.
Yeah.
Beautiful copies. It's like, can't complain.
Yeah, it's a good tip. You got to kind of. So I've never been to Sunny Boy, but like I'm thinking. So let's name some like Osaka stores and let's see if they kind of compare. I'm thinking something like Hanky Panky, that kind of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No, I'm just thinking, imagining like an old kind of store with no computer in it. That's like. Uh,
Unfortunately, this man has been introduced to the wonders of the internet
okay.
and
Okay. So
discussed.
there are still record stores in Japan that like don't have a computer in. So
Yeah, I mean, is Hanky Panky the one in Unagi Dani? I feel
yes,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, very similar vibe.
I guess so. Yeah. And maybe
Yeah,
music in Umeda, kind of that kind of, like just
a
one
little.
guy who's been
Yeah.
doing it for years. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
So, Sunny Boy's not bad.
Yeah.
It's a cool place. The worst part about it is probably that they file all their records vertically when you get to the
Ooh.
back. I hate that.
Naka Records in Osaka does that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But the newer arrivals and stuff, they're all just in bins and everything. So it's a fun
Right.
place.
So if anybody's ever in Nagasaki, Sunny Boy,
Yeah, check it out.
place to go. There you go. Great.
Mm-hmm.
You did mention hard off, Jesse. What's
Right.
hard off? What's hard off?
Hard Off, despite the descriptive name,
Hmm.
is a place to buy both hard and soft things.
Right.
It's a used emporium in Japan,
Right.
owned by the company that does Book
Book
Off,
off. Right. Yeah.
all your books,
Yeah.
House Off, all your household items.
There's a lot of offs.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think there's Hobby Off also.
Mm. My hobby is
So
there's a crossover there because my hobby is records, but the records are in hard off.
Hard Off,
Real.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
gotta find the combo stores.
Right.
But yeah, so in the countryside, like or just all around Japan,
Yeah.
you'll find these pretty big used stores. And I think one thing that Mike, you can totally agree with,
Hmm.
the quality of used things in Japan is very different than the quality of used things in pretty much every other place in
I
the
was
world.
going to touch on that later, but absolutely, like we joke about it all the time that like an American or British, mint is a Japanese G minus, or whatever.
Right.
It's like,
Like
yeah,
some sort of
very
string
well looked
item.
after. I
Yeah.
think the only thing I can think of is like a little bit of mold sometimes you get, because Japan's very
You'll
humid.
see the
So
spotting.
if
Yeah.
you have a record with a bit of mold on the insert, if you don't mind
Hmm.
that, you'll get like a
Yeah.
nice price for a
Yeah.
record that's got a bit of mold
But
on it.
yeah, so I would go to Hard Off on the occasion when I needed like stereo equipment or looking at like guitar stuff and things like that, and they have a record section.
They do.
So um, mostly it's Japanese stuff, but now and then you do have a surprising find.
Do.
So one thing that I found a lot of, the one in Isahaya, no, not
Right.
Isahaya, Togitsu, outside of Nagasaki, a lot of Japanese picture sleeves of non-Japanese singles.
Okay.
Really dig these, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, and maybe it's just the way it looks, like everything's so cool. So for example, we got a
Yeah,
Suzy
I've got.
Quattro Wild
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Shall we? How many have you got? How many have you got?
Singles, just three.
Oh,
That's all I pulled
okay.
out.
Okay. So
All right. Yeah.
I'll show my Hawkwind Silver
Ooh,
Machine picture.
beauty, beauty.
There you go.
Yeah.
But that CD Quattro, that's very cool looking. I have that
Yeah.
one too.
Here we got Action.
Oh man, I have that one too. That's so
Yeah, yeah, nice. And I
Yeah.
mean, so colorful, so pretty. You can see the guys' beautiful faces.
Yeah, and 4 guys to 4 ladies
Oh,
Girls' school.
school singles. Yeah.
can run,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of similar. Like you can like nice photo, like
Mm-hmm.
always.
Yeah, I mean, because we got to remember this is what like kids would see at the record store
Right.
way back when. You got to sell it somehow. So like, yeah, here you see Sweet with, somebody's got a cigarette and a long scarf.
That's
I'm
such a
sold.
great. I love that picture. I've always loved that picture. Yeah, and that's like you can find that record really cheap. Those Sweet and
Yeah, yeah,
CD Quattro ones.
yeah. And yeah, the last one, a
Oh,
nice Slade picture disc or picture sleeve. So yeah,
Goodbye to Jane.
like Goodbye to Jane. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have that one. Cool.
Ah,
Okay,
yeah,
I guess
sweet
I should
stuff.
show one more. I got make it count.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin. There you go.
Hey, that's nice. Yeah,
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 yeah.
sweet.
Japanese picture sleeves, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the dream is to find like a Black Sabbath single in there one day. Like
Well, Paranoid is the one that shows up the most of those Japanese picture sleeves, and Deep Purple are a band that they're really easy to
Yeah,
find.
a lot of really cool ones there. I know, was it? Oh no, sorry, that was somewhere else. I was thinking of a Budgie 7-inch that I found somewhere, but
Oh,
yeah.
Budgie. Okay, like my hard off is Nishinomiya. It's like halfway between Osaka and Kobe.
Yeah,
Hard
home
off
of the
there.
Tigers.
They do, and like it's kind of changed these days, but like going back to that thing you were talking about where someone definitely sells a collection or sells. I went in there one day and someone had definitely sold like their new wave of British heavy metal LP collection. And I'm not going to show all of it, but this is my favorite. So this was like 300 yen, Neat Records, original Jaguar,
Beautiful.
Power Games, hard off. So yeah, it kind of ties back to what you're saying about someone had definitely gone in and just kind of sold their whole new British heavy metal. But I mean, there's a lot of Saxon, Girls' School, but this was a little bit, and Raven, but this was a little bit special to find the Jaguar. One of the first bands I ever saw. One of the first bands I ever saw live. So there you go. That was nice.
Yeah, and also, I mean, a really great place, not just Japanese picture sleeves, but also Japanese versions of foreign records, which often come with the so coveted obi.
The obi, yeah. Let's talk about the obi. Yeah.
Right. Mike, for people who don't know, what's the obi?
Well, how do you translate it? I mean, people usually say the obi strip.
Obi is
how people usually say it. Belt is like, because they originally
like
they were on
kimono.
books, right? Books have them too, and like so.
Yeah, I mean, you call the belt that goes on kimono obi also.
Yeah.
So something just keeps it together, right?
Yeah. So I guess like in Japan, a record that is with a nice obi and the same pressing without obi, we're talking about like a half the cost to more sometimes, depending on
where. Like when you talked about Saxon, I thought about that because I'm a huge Saxon fan. and I started picking up ones with obi. But those all run about 800 1,000 yen.
Yeah.
And then the beat up ones without obi, those are like 3 to 500. So I'm
300.
like,
Yeah.
well, how much money do I have in me at the moment?
Exactly.
And I, you know,
Yeah.
to have a collection that's all with the obi, that's
But
pretty sweet.
it's very tempting. It's like, do I just go for the 300 press, yen press
Right.
without obi, or do I
Right.
go
I
for
want it.
100, with the obi?
Right.
And
I really want it. Yeah.
I've definitely gone for the cheap route, and then later kind of regret it. So I should have just got the
Yeah.
one with the obi. So
Well, maybe
upgrading,
just buy two copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to Hard Off, here's
Yep.
one pretty great thing I found.
Oh man,
ZZ Top Stay House with the obi.
because here we go. See, I have it's down there, but I have that without obi, and that
Okay.
again, Jesse.
Yeah, this obi is like a third of the sleeve.
Obi. Like it doesn't
great.
doesn't obscure like the artwork. It
it blends in,
enhances the artwork. That's
and I mean, I think like this is what makes obi so cool is that originally they're like promotional items, right?
Right.
So here it says like poster included with only the first editions. Kind of
right.
Thing.
Yeah.
Poster. Maybe it's not first edition, or maybe it's up on somebody's wall somewhere. And it's all like it's just a hype sticker, but it's a giant hype sticker.
Well, that's why a lot of people just throw them away, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because it's like if you're at the record store and you don't know ZZ Top, you read it and you're like, "Oh, Texas wa paradise. Texas is paradise. That's wonderful. I want this record."
That is seriously, I'm not even joking. That's one of the best like hobbies I've ever seen.
Isn't it?
Like, okay, let's compare it to like
the Tres Hombres one.
It's like it's okay,
cool,
but it kind of like overlaps a little bit, and black and green's kind of cool, but it doesn't. You can't compare it to that. That's so much better. But this is the better record. But
so the thing though, on that obi, does it include a coupon to get your own Texas emblem that says Top on it?
Wow.
Yeah, like that's the other sweet thing about a lot of obis. It's like, oh, send this in and you'll get this catalog, or send this in and you can get this pendant. And like, who doesn't want a ZZ Top pendant?
And then like this one, Jesse, ZZ Top, like it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, it kind of takes away. You got the skull, you got the really cool typography.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say sometimes it can kind of take away. It can detract from the intended artwork. So.
But another thing to think about, like, excuse me, the Japanese on the obi, like I was saying, if you're reading it, like for that Diguelo one, that's a lot of text.
Right. It's like big major label. Again, not particularly great design, doesn't really kind of enhance Away's artwork, so.
Yeah. So like, here's two examples, stuff I picked up at Sunny Boy.
All right.
A couple of Devo records, right? So
that's okay. Yeah,
kind of cuts off people's nose.
Standard. Is that Atlantic Records or Pioneer, right?
Warner.
Warner. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Pioneer Warner. Yeah, they have the pretty standard red and white obi that they kind of put on everything. So.
Yeah, and so here, like, it says New Traditionalist, Devo.
Right.
So it tells you, the album title. But what I love a lot of times with obis is the reimagined Japanese title.
Yes, the different album title that happens too, right?
Yeah. So, for example, here, here's Duty Now for the Future, right? But it doesn't say Duty Now for the Future. It's like, what is that? Seizongaku Shourai Ben or Hen, something like that. So, like, duty, studies, future, book.
There's a whole bunch of those in there with like the album title changes, like.
Yeah, and like there's one Saxon record that has, I want to say like Wheels of Steel is something like Boso Driving or something, which is like, oh sweet. I definitely want to do some Driving.
Like there's this one. This is kind of okay. I think the pink and the yellow kind of goes.
That looks sweet. I like that. Yeah,
it's not bad. Yeah,
the background blends in a lot too.
Yeah, it's same company that did the Voivod, but much better.
Yeah. Well, everybody loves the Punk Alives or Punk and Destroy the Back ones, right?
Yeah. So I
But in
think,
the end,
okay,
when you think about
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's just a little different.
I think this is a good example of like good and bad. So like Killer's good.
Good.
It blends in like totally, right?
Hmm.
Even the kind
Yeah,
of the logo.
looks
And
like it
then
belongs.
first LP, just this big silver thing that kind of blocks the logo. Not
Right.
so good. And then the Number of the Beast, which just kind of like I don't like the kind of like
Yeah, I love the blood splatter on
that's
the
cool.
Number of the Beast
Uh,
one. That is sweet, but
but
like,
the OB is fascinating. I mean, it is cool. It's a Japan only thing, or
mhm.
it used to be a Japan only thing.
Well, as we know, a lot of people are making obies to go with their records now
but
because
there's
it
some
looks
cool
cool.
ones. This is one of my favorites actually. German band,
Ah,
the
yeah.
Apps from Berlin. I think this is really cool. It's kind of like transparent. It's
Hmm.
pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, using that kind of tissue sleeve kind of
yeah,
style. That's
pretty
pretty
cool.
cool.
And then the newest Paranoid,
Nightmare.
the
Uh,
Paranoid like bonus 12-inch. This is
yeah.
Jackie from
And
Frampton did all this, the
oh,
translation
okay.
and everything.
Yeah,
But
it's very VAP style with the bars on the top
and
and
it's got
everything.
like the little. Don't know if you can see, but they kind of paid homage to the old Sony logo there.
Okay.
You get a lot of that, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
There's some
Right, right.
punk ones with like a little bit of like the Pink Floyd. I forget who it was.
Hmm.
It could be Poikus, and then like
Hmm.
Heresy as well. It
I've
doesn't
never
really do
seen
it.
that one before.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I've had that LP, but never with an OB.
This is the like most recent like remastered like
Oh, okay.
but Boss Tunage they always put an Obi on for Japan, so
Hmm. Yeah,
doesn't really add
that
it. It's not
has
bad. It's okay. It's not bad.
right,
But
but that's a right hand OB,
yeah, I
right?
no, well, that no, I moved it again. I moved it because it totally blocks the
The guy's
band name, the
face.
name of the band, right? So,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Obi, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I have an example of the right hand OB, but maybe that'll be a good bring along to what's kind of
Mm.
one of the things that I've been most surprised to find. A big surprising find.
Okay. Surprising
Um,
finds in Japan. Okay. Cool.
yeah. I'm from the DC area, and at university, like in high school, I grew up listening to go-go music.
Right.
So you know go-go, right?
Actually, I think it was actually you who probably actually thinking about it. Didn't I like find a go-go record and like
I
give it
think you did,
to
and I
you,
wanted it.
and it could have been like
Yeah.
a Japanese pressing with an obi on it as well, maybe even,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So yeah, like Friday nights at 9:30, you would listen to like this one radio station. They would play
Right.
live go-go. Like no go-go guys really. I don't think anybody really aspired to be on record labels. It was more about if you got invited to a party and you got to play, that was the cool thing.
Right.
Um, as I grew up and I realized about like there's the Minor Threat, Big Boys, Trouble Funk Show,
Yeah. Yeah.
the classic thing, right?
Mm.
Um, but love go-go and been most surprised when I run across go-go records in Japan.
Well, you have to wonder, don't you, like how it made it over here, like because it was
Right.
technically mostly a live thing, right? Mostly for the
Yeah.
most part.
Right. It was all soundboard tapes. There was
Right.
very few actual records coming out in the US that I knew of, at least personally.
Right.
What I gathered, it's all island records. Um, they put out the Trouble Funk LPs, if I recall. They put out like a few of the compilations that came out in
Right.
Japan. All
Right.
these things with Obies. But yeah, so in Kitakyushu, which is north of Nagasaki, but
Yep.
in Kyushu,
South of Osaka.
above Hakata.
Yep.
Yeah. Went to Borderline Records, searching through a bunch of stuff before I think it was like a Warhead and Eye show. Very good show.
Cool.
And I found this.
Oh, good to go.
So good to go indeed.
Right. It's I see it now. It's got the obi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got the right hand obi, which is a
Right.
little weird.
Yeah.
But this is a soundtrack to a go-go movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't think there are many go-go movies out there.
Right.
One or two. And this has like what do we got? Chuck Brown, so probably one of the most well-known, as well as Trouble Funk, one of the most well-known go-go
Right,
artists. But then it's got other people, so like Hot and Cold Sweat. It's even got Sly and Robbie. So it's a pretty cool production, and it's on island. And I think a lot of the other go-go stuff you'll find in Japan is on island.
This has like almost exactly the same because as you're reading, I was like, well, this is like sounds like the same record, but it's not.
Yeah.
But this is on. You're right. This is on Island as well. It's on Island.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody at Island was like, "Go-Go is going to be the next big thing. We got to press it." They pressed a ton. A bunch
Yeah.
of them are in Japan. Nobody buys it, but I
Wow.
bought. Yeah. So very surprising.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, I love this stuff, man. It's amazing.
Hmm.
Go crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, I wish you had given that to me one day. Maybe I'll inherit it.
Was
Who knows?
I forgot when I found this. Yeah, but yeah, Island.
Yeah, I can almost remember finding it or finding you finding it, kind of thing. But who knows where it came from, right?
And yeah, there you go. It's Island Records again, like the Trouble Funk.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, man. Drop the bomb. So that's a good thing to think about with record shopping with friends is that, you learn a lot more from each other about like, hey, that's great.
True.
I've never heard that before.
Very true.
You can spread that kind of stuff. And I guess that's a really cool thing about living in Japan is you will have people come and visit you. And I mean, Japanese record shopping, like everything comes through Japan at some point.
I heard that like I'm not sure if this is correct, but like 70 or 80 or 90% or whatever of the world's like used jazz vinyl is in Japan. Something crazy like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And reggae too, I think. I had something ridiculous like it's like almost it's here or it's passed through here or it's here. And bootlegs too, right? Bootlegs. I remember hearing like the Beastie Boys.
It would make sense. Yeah.
They're on tour and they buy Beastie Boys bootlegs like in Japan, that kind of thing. Yeah.
No, I mean, you saying reggae reminds me, there is one more record store in Nagasaki, Soul Vendor Records. Yes.
Cool.
And if you can find it, good luck. They have an Instagram. I didn't find it in the 3 years I lived there. And
but it
it's
exists.
Not a big town. Supposedly. Wow. It might just be some guy's basement or loft or whatever. But,
reggae store.
All reggae. Reggae is like really huge down in Kyushu, I would say,
right.
compared to maybe other parts of Japan. Like, there's a reggae bar called Trench Town in Nagasaki, completely black. I've broken glasses there from bumping into things. It's very fun. But yeah, so reggae is really huge there, and it would make sense that a lot of the records come through Japan.
That's interesting because Koide from I and everything, they're all really into reggae, and they're from that area.
Really?
Kind of makes sense.
Knows, yeah. So, but yeah.
So shopping with friends, is that like paid dividends for you when
I think it has. I mean, in my opinion, record collecting is not a solitary endeavor. It's something that it's very nice to do with friends. If you're just some nerd sitting on the internet clicking and buying a bunch of stuff and keeping it at your house and not sharing it with anybody.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
But so I like making friends with other record collectors. I like talking to old punks who might have some records sitting around that I might be able to.
They don't know the price of.
Oh no. But I did make friends with some really cool people down in Nagasaki, and we were able to work out some good trades and some good deals. So
very nice.
Let me just show you a couple of the things if you get to know people who will remain nameless.
Okay.
But let's just say an older gentleman who's from Nagasaki.
Okay.
Lots of stories about, hanging out with like Oto and Ghoul and, all of that going on in Tokyo and Osaka in the early 80s. He even took me to, where is it? Do you remember Edison Records?
I've been to Edison Records in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Or like.
So I guess the original was in Hakata.
Right.
And that's where. Yeah, King's World Records was run out of there.
Yeah.
So right now it still exists. It's a used store. It's like a thrift store. But you go to the back where all the records are, you're not going to get very far. This guy like introduces me to the president of King's World Records or whatever, and he's got a lot of distro stuff in the back. We pulled out a bunch of stuff, and he asked very kindly, like, hey, do you think we can buy these? And the guy's like, no, not for sale. Yeah. So all the stuff from the 80s and 90s, all there, but not for sale.
Not for sale.
But the things that are for sale, if people don't want them anymore, Yeah, like lots of European stuff made it. So
Cool.
that's pretty,
Bastard first EP.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think second press, it's on red.
Okay.
Uh, and maybe you can see it's got a nice little bite out of it at the top. I think
Oh,
that's probably why you wanted to get rid of it, not mint, you
uh,
know?
that's kind of American sealed.
Right, right. I mean, it plays fine, you know? That's all I worry about. What else? A little more Euro stuff. This Farfetch
Oh,
Diddy
classic.
Doo. I was, yeah,
Black
super
Future.
stoked to get this.
Yeah,
I mean, this is like, whew,
yeah.
you can't beat this some days. And then, of course, there's a lot of old Japanese stuff too. The Bitosha 7-inch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Flexi. Pretty. I think I've seen this in a record store once in 10 years. And so, you make
It's
friends
one
with
of
people.
those ones that I
Stuff
lump
pops
in
up.
with like Rebel and all those kind. Not, I don't want to say second tier or third tier, but it's like that
Mm.
band Rebel and
Yeah. Well, they never went past that one thing,
yes,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, LSD, I think that's the second record, right? So,
Mhm.
the stuff just people have things and they don't want it anymore. And
Right.
it's just nice to make friends.
Yeah,
So those were
yeah.
some nice finds. Yeah. I mean, if you had any good dividends from making friends or going shopping with friends?
Not in Japan so much. Like to be honest, like in Japan, I kind of prefer this, to do things solitary. But definitely, like when I
Mm.
lived in England back in like when I was growing up, definitely more like going with friends and like that and being introduced to bands that you didn't know. That's my favorite part. It's like
For sure. For sure.
have you heard this band or like and just like maybe people that were like a year older than me or
Hmm.
2 years older. I had a
Right.
couple of people, friends like that back in the day who introduced me to so many bands.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you go to
I
a
mean,
record store and hey, have you heard? Actually, but you said Budgie. Budgie was one of the bands that was definitely introduced to me by a friend. So that kind of thing I
yeah,
like. Then
yeah, I
introducing
think that
people
that's super cool too.
and telling people about like maybe maybe they've come to Japan and they've got their eyes set on like this and this, and they're like, hey, why don't you check out this band Technocracy from Osaka who have this 12-inch out,
Yeah.
you know, and but I want to come on, give it a go, and just stuff
Right.
like that.
It's 700, 800 yen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, it's not all about the big ticket items for me. It's like
Hmm.
there's more out there than there's a lot of good stuff that
Yeah.
you know.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah,
When I first started going to Japan, my great buddy Sash,
yeah,
Sash Mori,
yeah.
big shout out to Sash. He would always take me out, and he seemed so generous because he's just like, hey, take this, hey, take this, hey, you need
Right,
this, and it was because he already had all this stuff. But
right.
still, a lot of times too, like he would just go dig in and he'd find like the Gates Metal Skull split picture disc for
I know
500 yen.
you found that in Disc Union Shimokitazawa. Am I right?
Very good, very
Good memory. I
good.
remember that.
Yes, yeah.
Don't
Because
remember
that's one of
the
those
month,
big
but
things where it's like, holy shit, where did that come from?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good time.
Yeah. So I guess the last thing that I pulled out to show from my
Right.
3 years, the past 3 years of records,
Okay.
because that's all I have with me now.
Okay.
All my other stuff is in my poor mother's house.
Right.
So one day it may be reunited with me. Yeah. So it was, man, I was in Osaka
Right.
and I was taking around a band and a friend who was with them, and we went to Nipponbashi,
Oh,
and I remember, oh yeah, so going back to that one of somebody sells everything when they sell stuff.
right.
So one time I went into Soundpack, and
Which
this is
one?
Soundpack with a C, fake Soundpack.
The one like right down at the end of Nipponbashi?
Yes,
Yeah.
left
That
hand
was like
side. Yeah,
it definitely got like a hardcore collection in there at some point. I
right.
got a few things.
Well,
Not as good as the one you're going to show, but a few.
yeah. Well, I mean, I remember one day I went in there and there's the entire Poison Idea discography.
Yes, I got the UK pressing of War All the Time with the alternate
Yep.
lead from that
Yeah.
same collection. Yeah.
I told you that was
Yes.
there. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I picked up a Pussmore Kings of Punk.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not a Portland one, but still, it
Right.
was nice to have.
Yeah.
I picked up everything I needed. So, like, hey, the store usually has good shit. Let's go. So we went. Everybody's looking. They didn't find much. They're looking through all the LPs, all the 7-inches. I wasn't really looking for stuff because I had spent all my money at the gig the other night. But we're getting ready to head out, and my friend Momo, who's a really great guy, runs a record label, Flower Carnage, and everything,
Yes.
lives down in Kyushu. She
Yeah.
pulls out a record. He's like, "Hey, do you have these?" I'm like, "No." And I look at it a little more, and he was pulling out the first Ristatid 7-inch.
Nice.
Why would there be a absolutely beautiful, like this is beyond beautiful,
Yeah.
copy of this finish like 83, something like that,
Yeah.
sitting in a record store in Osaka.
I
And
mm,
go
I,
ahead.
I have I have a theory. I don't know. You know, maybe
Your
some
theory
like
being?
younger punks who are getting into like Poikus and and then went back and like bought a few things and then just kind of grew out of the punk scene quickly and then just offloaded their collection,
Yeah,
something like that.
could
Could be,
be,
could
could
be.
be. When I look at Discogs of this, I'm very happy for the price I got it for.
Tell
I
us,
didn't
tell
guess
us.
how much it
Let's not
was.
keep it a secret. What? How
Okay.
much? Let me guess. 800.
Uh, yeah, it was 780 plus tax, I think.
Yeah,
So
it
around
just I
800.
always that's my kind of joke when I say things, but like the 700 yen, 800 thing, it's kind of like it
Yeah,
happens quite a lot though.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably worth 10 or 100 times more than that. So they're out there, there's some
Yeah,
pretty surprising shit, and a lot of it's in Japan.
it is. Yeah, yeah. So obviously there's no traveling going on at the moment, but I hope next
No,
year our
next
friends will be
year.
able to come back to
Hmm.
Japan. We'll be able to
Yeah, Hal and I
travel.
can hang out again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough year, but I'm pretty positive that next year things will we'll be seeing our mates back in Japan or back in the States, wherever we're.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we want, man.
that's what
Well,
we want.
yeah, it was great talking to you, Mike.
You too, man. Some tasty
Yeah.
platters, tasty chat.
Tasty
So,
times.
everyone, once again, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.